All right, everybody, we're here with the Gamer Seuss channel, and it looks like we've got almost no lag over on the website. That's good. And we're here every week from 8 p.m., I'm sorry, not a.m., 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we cover anything and everything that might be going on in the nerdosphere out there. We're going to do a quick sound check. It's right at 8 o'clock. Lurch is still logging in. He's still getting everything set up, so he's not quite here yet. But we wanted to do the sound check and not be late to log in. So I've got Angel here already with me. Let's do a check 1 2, check 1 2. Check 1
check 1 2, check 1 2. Check 1 check 1 2, check 1 2.
Okay, yeah, that sounded good. So I'm hearing both of you. So if I hear Lurch okay, if Angel's coming through, then Lurch will come through. So that'll be fine. So we don't have to have Lurch do a separate sound check because they're both coming in through my Discord. If they come in through my Discord, everything's fine. We are live. We are doing our show now. For those who don't know, I'll go through this like I do at the beginning of every show. We are game time. It sounds like Lurch is just now putting on his headset. Yep. So hi, Lurch. We've already done the sound check, but if I hear Angel, then I'll hear you fine.
All right.
So you sound good. I was just telling the people out there, if anybody's out there listening, I do need to start the chat window pop out so that I can see if anybody comes into chat. But we are here every week, Tuesdays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we cover everything and anything going on in the nerdosphere, with especially a focus on things like console news and comic book related news and role-playing games and board games, card games type stuff. We're really big into that. We're all three of us comic book nerds. We like to role-play games. We like console games. We like computer games to different degrees. We even play a few cell phone games. Speaking of which, I know I shared it with Lurch, but I don't know if Angel has seen that they've got a new AR game coming out. Marvel.
I did know about that, yeah.
Yeah, that's Niantic is coming out with that one, yeah.
Marvel thing, yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be great too, because if they put the kind of effort they put into Pokemon Go into that, but making it Marvel themed, but making your own characters, that's going to be hot. I like the idea.
Niantic's done Pokemon Go. Well, originally they started with Egress. Ingress. And then they went to Pokemon Go, and then Pikmin. And then, so they have that Pikmin.
Yeah, I don't play Pikmin. I did try Ingress, but there wasn't enough people playing to really keep me playing. I did play Pokemon Go for quite a while.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I tried playing Ingress, and in Springfield, Missouri specifically, there's not a lot of...
Yeah, there's not a lot of players. And I played Pokemon Go for a while, but I don't play it now. But I think I will eat up the Marvel one.
Yeah, I'll have to give the Marvel one a try. I stopped playing the Pokemon one because it was costing me too much money.
I don't spend money really much on the game.
I'm not supposed to, but in like 3 months of playing it, I spent almost $200 on it.
That's because you're a sucker for a good microtransaction.
Yeah, I had to stop.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not one of our topics today, but I did want to point that out because I thought that was great for Marvel news and gaming news. And so, and I had mentioned it already to Lurch, so I figured I'd mention it to you, Angel, because I figured you'd be all over it too. We do cover that kind of stuff, and what brought me and specifically Lurch together was Eclectic Endeavors, the group that puts on the Gaming Arts Media Entertainment Expo, and we are having our final Game Expo this October. It's only a week away. I mean, not a week, a month away. It's 30 days, so many hours. If you see on the screen right now, it's 30 days, 12 hours, like, what does that say, 6 minutes, 14 seconds, something like that. And that's what we're coming up on. Yeah, 30 days, 15 hours, 54 minutes, and 38, 37, 36 seconds till game starts. So one of the best things about that, too, is $10 is going to get you in for the entire weekend. But even better than that, if you don't want to pay the $10 to get in, volunteer. If you volunteer, I think right now we've set it to 4 hours is all you have to work in order to get in for free.
Yep.
So do a 4 hour, that's 2 shifts. And if you're just a volunteer, every 2 hour shift you do gets you a raffle ticket to possibly win one of 2 possible $50 Amazon gift cards. Now, nobody can win both because we want 2 people to walk away with a gift card. But you get a chance to win that. You also get a t-shirt. You get some food and access to the lair. I mean, it is a great extra perk to come in as a volunteer, and you get to be part of it. Not just an attendee, but you're part of what makes it happen. And this is the last year we're making this particular con happen. And it is actually one of the popular ones in the area. A lot of people say they really like game because it's about doing stuff. It's not as much a party con. It's not about going out and just buying stuff from the vendors, although we do have vendors. It's about actually playing the games. We have a huge console section put on by Lurch that has tons of consoles. I mean, Lurch himself owns 48 consoles. Angel, and of course, came into this because Angel's one of Lurch's best friends, and he and Lurch shared some console gaming and stuff on their Twitch channel, which Left Claw Studios. And so that's kind of what brought Angel in, but Angel is very knowledgeable about a lot of the stuff we talk about.
I was definitely a part of game earlier than that. Like I said before, Left Claw Studios is it does do videos and stuff on YouTube and Twitch, but originally I created games that were being played on an arcade cabinet that we debuted at the Games Art Media and Entertainment Expo.
See, there you go. Yeah, so he's been directly involved with game, but game's what brought me and Lurch together. So in a way, it's also what brought me and Angel together, and everything as well. So that's what brought us together. That's kind of the theme behind us. My channel is also dedicated to Extra Life, just to let people know. That means half of everything I make financially on the site, if I make any financially at all, half right off the top gets donated to the Extra Life, which is part of the Children's Miracle Network. It's for kids with long-term hospital conditions. It got started when a DJ was visiting a cancer patient who's no longer with us, who he asked, what could make her stay in the hospital a little bit easier, what would make her life a little bit better. And she had said, puzzles and games, maybe console, so she could be a little bit more like a normal kid. And so he went out and he told the people on his DJ show, and he got such an outpouring of support of donated puzzles and games and consoles and stuff that not only did he give her several of the items, but he went on to the other people in that ward and spread the love, spread the bounty to the other patients. And these are children that are often cut off, especially during COVID. They were cut off from even visitation by their family because of the COVID restrictions. And so this gave them just a little bit of normality. And it has expanded, so now they don't just do the games and stuff, they also help support other endeavors. Like if there's some way to move a child from being a hospital bound to home with certain extra equipment or transportation things, they'll help facilitate stuff like that. So Extra Life is by gamers and streamers for kids. So I do dedicate my channel to that. And that's the last of the commercials we're going to talk about. Now, the stream might run an occasional commercial because that's a Twitch thing, but that's our commercial. We're going to go in now and get started now. We've got kind of a couple of focused things on the show this week. As we've said in the last couple of weeks, D23 was this last weekend, so we are going to cover mainly D23 today. But we do have a couple of console things that came in this week too, so we're going to have Angel and Lurch kind of cover those first. And we will be covering some of our media again this week. We're definitely going to cover like The Last of Sandman. I think we might just have a little bit more to say about Sandman. We will talk about She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, and we will finally talk about Stargirl because we got 2 episodes under our belt now for Stargirl. If we have a little time, we may also at least touch on Cobra Kai, but as I'm the only one that's really watched it so far, we won't get that full dialogue, so we might wait on Cobra Kai anyway. We will not be doing a From the Vault or a Kickstarter this week because we have so much other stuff to talk about, and we're going to go ahead and push that Dungeons & Dragons article we've been talking about the last couple of weeks again. Because it's just such an involved conversation that it just won't fit in with all the stuff we got to do this week. D23 was pretty eventful. So we're going to start off with video game topics, which of course is going to be majorly Angel and Lurch, because they cover the console beat, as it were. Everything announced in the Ubisoft Forward September 2022 announcement. Go for it, Lurch, Angel.
Okay. All right. So IGN put together this nice article here talking about the Ubisoft Forward event that happened over the weekend, where they talked about all kinds of different things they have in the works. We have a lot to cover, so I'm just going to try to hit some like highlights really quickly on this.
Oh, absolutely.
Just kind of in general. So, we've got one of the big things is Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is one of the biggest franchises that they own. And they did kind of a showcase within a showcase, because within the Ubisoft Forward showcase, there was an Assassin's Creed showcase. There was just a dedicated area to it. Yeah, and in that, they revealed Assassin's Creed Codename Red, which is expected to be another large-scale Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan, which is something they've been wanting to do for a really long time. And this one, it looks like, is going to be helmed by the Watch Dogs Legion director, Clint Hocking. They also talked a little bit about Assassin's Creed Infinity, which Infinity itself isn't a game per se. They describe it as being a place where you go to jump into future entries of the Assassin's Creed franchise. Yeah, so it sounds like it's going to be like a hub where you use the Animus to jump into these other worlds.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a pretty cool concept. I hope they do a good job executing it, because I think it sounds like a cool idea.
I'm doing the trailer right now if they want to look at the screen.
Okay.
But and yeah, that sounds awesome.
They also announced Assassin's Creed Codename Hexy, which they didn't provide much on that, but to me, they didn't provide any details other than like a really short, like 30-second clip that's not any gameplay, just kind of some visuals. To me, it kind of has like a Salem Witch Trials kind of a vibe. So that's my theory. I think Codename Hexy is supposed to be like 1600s America or whatever, whenever they're dealing with witches or something. But I don't know. I'm just basing on the name and the artwork that they're showing in the woods there.
I'm about to run that clip just a second, and got to get through the Geico commercial.
Can't forget to save that money on car insurance, right?
Yep.
They say that one's going to be a very different type of Assassin's Creed game, which I'm a big fan of Assassin's Creed games. I've played most of them. And so as long as they are giving them the appropriate attention that they deserve, I keep enjoying them.
I just started Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I've been loving it.
Yeah? Nice. I haven't started that one yet. I was waiting for the last of the DLC before I started it, because I was like, I don't want to like play it and then put it away, and then DLC comes out, and then I need to pick it up again. I just wanted to play it all. And they announced the last of the DLC coming out in the next couple of months. So I'm like, all right.
Oh, that's like a great time for me to start playing that, huh?
Yeah. So now I'm like, should I start playing it now? It might bleed into God of War a little bit though, because that's the Nordic stuff too. Anyway, they also announced they're going to be doing more Assassin's Creed multiplayer. They said it's going to return in some form, but they said details will come at a later date.
There's a lot of Assassin's
I'm not the biggest multiplayer person, but I did have a lot of fun with some of the multiplayer modes that they had on Assassin's Creed in the past. I don't think they've touched it since Unity. Unity did a terrible job with it, but before Unity, they did some good things with Assassin's Creed multiplayer. So I'm interested to see what they managed to come up with that.
Like some of what
then
the Unity engine has. The Unity engine is not terrible, but I don't think it's best for everything.
It's not the Unity engine from a game developing engine. It was a game called Assassin's Creed Unity.
Oh, okay.
Which is generally regarded as the worst Assassin's Creed game.
I quit about 4 hours in when I kept getting stuck into buildings.
It was horribly glitchy. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I was so sad because I really enjoyed Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Like that was like my favorite Assassin's Creed game at that point. I played all of them at that point.
Because my fractured MMO is made on the Unity engine, so I did kind of like the Unity engine. Although I think Unreal would probably be better.
Anyway, and then they announced Assassin's Creed Mirage, which it got the most attention of the games in general. It got like actual like trailer and everything.
Wait, how many Assassin's Creed games did they announce? 2, and then an Assassin's Creed Hub?
3.
Well, there's
so Assassin's Creed Mirage. Oh no, actually 4. I forgot about one. So they announced Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is going to be a shorter game, a smaller scaled game. So it sounds like it's probably going to be somewhere around 15-20 hours or so, like the old school ones. Like we're going back to the traditional Assassin's Creed style with some more modern sensibilities, but focused on stealth and this and that. And I was like, okay, great, I love this. I love that we're doing some of the old stuff and still doing some of the new stuff. So we got Assassin's Creed Mirage, we've got Assassin's Creed Project Red, Assassin's Creed Project Hexy, and then one I didn't mention yet is Assassin's Creed Project Jade, which is a mobile Assassin's Creed game. So I don't know how much you want to think about that one. And then they announced the last DLC of Valhalla, had a little trailer for that, and then talked about the hub of Assassin's Creed Infinity, and that they are working on doing some online stuff with Assassin's Creed. So now you see why they had an Assassin's Creed showcase within the Ubisoft Forward showcase.
Yeah.
Like a showcase within a showcase.
A mini focal showcase, yeah.
There was a lot to put into it. Assassin's Creed Mirage takes place in Baghdad, 20 years before Valhalla. It'll star an assassin named Basim Ibn Ishaq, which I am sure I'm mispronouncing it horribly. But when the game comes out, I'll learn it just like I did Ezio and Altair.
Yeah, you got to hear it before you really get it.
Yeah, like I heard in the trailer, but you only hear it a couple of times in the trailer. When you play in the games, you hear it a bunch, and you once you love the character, it really sticks out to you,
Yep, when you get emotionally attached.
But I mean, the Jade one might be decent. It just showed like a cutscene thing for it, though. Assassin's Creed Jade is supposed to be an open world Assassin's Creed game for mobile devices.
Yeah, I'm just not going through the Geico commercial every time.
They had a lot, like big showcase because they also had the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
Showcase as well, and that one was crazy. There was a lot to go through, but I'm just gonna name like a handful of them.
We'll
get to the Nintendo one. Not right then. No. So that's all the Assassin's Creed stuff. They also showed some Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope content, including that it's going to have like Rayman as a playable character.
Nice.
They showed a new trailer for Skull and Bones, showing off ship customization and the trading network called the Helm. They announced that Trackmania is headed to consoles with cross-platform play and cross-progression. They announced Just Dance 2023, which will be coming out this holiday. They showed some gameplay footage for Rainbow Six Mobile. They teased a new phase for Division Heartland. And then some new content for Riders Republic. The Crew 2 is getting some ice tracks. Crew 2 is a racing game that lets you drive all over the country. It's pretty cool. Let's see, Brawlhalla is getting a crossover with Castlevania.
Woo!
Also, I forgot. There's another Assassin's Creed game that's being worked on by Netflix as a Netflix Assassin's Creed game.
Oh.
I don't know what to think about that.
Yeah, Netflix now has like a game section to their website now. It's been weird.
Yeah. So, all right. So I think that pretty much hits the highlights to go through real quick on the Ubisoft Forward.
Okay, we're going to go to Nintendo next.
Yeah.
So the first one that came out that showed was definitely one of my most looked forward to. It's like I forget. It's called like Fire Emblem something. What is it? I'm gonna have to rely on you to remind me of what it's called.
The Fire Emblem Heroes. It's
So Fire Emblem is like what I've been playing since Game Boy Advance. Every release that's happened, I am a huge fan of if you mess up, you lose your favorite character forever, like style of play, and it is amazing. And like I'm sure like they removed that in the last Fire Emblem Three Houses, so they removed that, so like that's an option, but not the default anymore. So like more casual players are able to come in and feel like they can play, which is great. But this is supposed to have heroes from all over the Fire Emblem. It's a lot like Final Fantasy, where every game takes place in a different universe. What's up?
It's called Engage. Fire Emblem Engage.
Fire Emblem Engage, and it just has a whole bunch of different universes, heroes. Like, and we already kind of got that in a mobile game that I'm currently playing as well. But it looks very similar to Three Houses, which is my favorite iteration of Fire Emblem to date. So I'm very excited for it. They also announced the N64 having a whole bunch of new games that I'm like really interested in, such as Mario Party 1 through 3 and the Pokemon Stadiums.
Yeah. Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Yeah. Oh my God. Like amazing. And there's a game that I was thinking was stupid, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, I'm really down to play it. Is the Fist of the North Star rhythm game, which is a hyper serious anime about destroying your enemies with your fist. It's like like you're belittling your opponent. He's like, you're already dead.
Hoto no Kan was.
And they got it. It's practically fucking. It's practically Beat Saber, but
they described it as like a boxing practice game.
Yeah.
Like training for combat.
I'm going to play that game.
And you overlooked what is probably the biggest announcement of the N64 games, and that's GoldenEye 007.
Oh yeah. I meant to go there. Yeah, 007. Not only is that a big announcement, it's also going to be online.
Yeah, online multiplayer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh my God, super excited about that.
I will say, Fist of the North Star was one of my favorite animes growing up. So much so that I can say it in Japanese, because I can say it in the original Japanese. It's Hoto no Kan. And I watched it so many times.
You might have an excuse to get up and like box at the TV for a little bit. If that's like one of your things, because I am down for. I like art, so I'm down for this. And so that's an announcement. Kirby Return to Dreamland is getting a deluxe version for the Switch, which I was really hoping they would do, and it looks absolutely gorgeous, like amazing. And I'm really, anyone who knows me knows I'm down for Cyberpunk, and or just like giant text, and they have a set of Kirby, which is amazing. And so, like, for me, that's, like, an important thing. And I'm forgetting something. It's the very last one, and that is Legend of Zelda, Tear of the Kingdom.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom.
And it showed a mural, which is how they announced the original Breath of the Wild. And people speculated really hardcore about what it would mean and what would happen in the game. And oh my God, it's beautiful.
I'm running the trailer right now on the screen.
I am just so fucking excited for this game to come out.
Well, it's Zelda. I mean, it's one of the most popular franchises Nintendo ever came up with.
It is, but more importantly than that, it's a Zelda that's building off of a world. It's a Zelda game that's building off of a world that already existed, and we love those Zelda games.
Yeah, it's the actual sequel to the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's a Zelda sequel. And,
I don't think we've ever hated a sequel, have we, from a Zelda game?
I don't think we've ever hated a Zelda game.
Well, I mean, what was it, Legend of Zelda 2, the side-scrolling Link game was not my favorite.
Yeah. Legend of Zelda 2, but Adventure of Link, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that was one of my favorites. I loved Adventure Link.
I've not played that one. I've only played a handful of Zelda games, and I mentioned this to you before. Breath of the Wild was my least favorite of the Zelda games I've played. So I'm a little iffy on this one, but I'm glad that it's finally coming out soon for the people who adored the Breath of the Wild, because I know it's one of the most popular ones.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to continue a story instead of just starting over.
Half of the announcements were remakes, like Harvest Moon, they remade the first Harvest Moon I ever played, which was awesome. I mean, I'm probably not gonna play it, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Octopath Traveler is getting a second, is getting a sequel.
Yep.
So that looks gorgeous. Oh my God, it looks so good. And it makes me want to play the first one. Like, seeing that one is like, oh, that's what that is. All right, I might play it. Because I hear about it a lot. I see screenshots, but, I haven't actively played it, so I might.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole lot of stuff for Nintendo, it looks like. This page is pretty cram-packed.
Yeah, it was packed with a lot of stuff. They also announced Pikmin 4.
Yeah,
which will be coming out in 2023.
Yes, they did. Is there any that interest you that I missed? Bayonetta. Bayonetta's getting a sequel, or not a sequel, but like
a third game. Yeah. They showed some more content for Bayonetta 3. That was a pretty cool trailer. They were like, in the first Bayonetta game, she fought for her memories. In the second Bayonetta game, she fought for her friend. In the third game, she will fight for the world or something like that. She'll fight to save the world. And they talked about how she's fighting some creatures called homunculi that are like man-made monstrosities. They also announced some Resident Evil games. 4 Resident Evil games are coming to the Switch.
The remade ones, yeah.
Yeah, well, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8, and then a couple of remakes of the other games.
The Final Fantasy theatrical game.
A remake of a Kirby game, Return to Dreamland.
Yeah.
Oh, did you mention that one?
Yeah, he did mention that one. Just Dance.
Kind of cutting out.
Yeah, a little bit of metallic again there, Angel.
I think we may have lost him.
Yeah, because he looks frozen now.
His image is frozen and he's a robot.
Well, he's moving a little bit now. He's moving a little bit silent.
Yeah. His hand came up. He's moving at the pace of 1 frame every 7 seconds.
Yeah, so it's probably in a bad area. So he
can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you already said that if it comes to a bad area, he would clam up until he sees that he's back in connection, so we don't have to hear that metallic thing, and he did that, so that's great.
Cool.
We're going to move out of the Nintendo now, because there's so much there. I did post the website you gave me onto the chat in case anybody coming in from, watching YouTube and seeing the old chat transcripts and stuff can follow that link and go there and check out all the different stuff for themselves, because there's just so much. I didn't catch any of that, Angel.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, it must be that I'm hearing the echo of myself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's turn down the... There we go.
Yeah. How about now? Much better. Now I don't hear myself. Okay.
There you
go. We're going to go on now for the PlayStation State of Play September 2022, which is another one that Philip sent over to me.
Who's Philip?
I mean, not Philip. Sorry, I mean Lurch.
Yeah. Okay, so this one came out today. So the Nintendo event and the PlayStation State of Play both were today, and so Angel watched the Nintendo one, I watched the Tekken one, the PlayStation one.
See what you're
gives you a clue of the first game that they showed is they revealed Tekken 8 with a freaking beautiful looking like cutscene trailer of Kazuya and Jin facing off each other, and Jin's being like, the two of us shouldn't, beings like us shouldn't even exist in this world, and Kazuya's like, that sounds like the language to the weak or something like that, and they start whooping each other's ass.
I'm running the trailer now.
And so I'm a big fan of Tekken, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm glad that they announced it. No release dates of any kind. But they only mentioned PlayStation 5, so I don't know if it's going to be exclusive to the PS5, or what's the story there?
It makes sense. I mean, how long has the PlayStation 5 been out, and they're still making games for the PS4? At some point, you got to start making exclusives.
Yeah. But even that, the last couple of Tekken games, or at least the last one, was multi-platform. It was on Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, but after that snafu
Like it's a franchise that was PlayStation exclusive for over 20 years, and then they did one that was on both platforms. Now, what's really the case is it's probably going to be on Xbox and PlayStation, and they're only mentioning PlayStation 5 because of it being a PlayStation showcase.
At that one Combat Expo, they said that Tekken wasn't going to go to Xbox anymore because of how they mishandled that tournament. Because
anyway,
when they
move on, they also announced a new limited edition DualSense controller themed on God of War that I want to get. It's got like imagery of like the two wolves or whatever on it, and it's got like this cool like coloration of like blue and white. I'm gonna have to pick that up in November. Hopefully it's not so limited edition I can't get my hands on it. They also announced a few things for PlayStation VR 2 for releasing next year. A couple of these are already on the Quest, but it's good to see that they're revealing some stuff for the PSVR 2. It's Star Wars: Tales from the Galaxy's Edge and Demio, which Star Wars is pretty. You know what Star Wars is, and Demio is like a tabletop RPG or tabletop RPG type of game with like game pieces, but it's all in virtual reality, and so you're moving pieces around, and then has 3D virtual reality effects happening.
So it's more like an AR tabletop.
Yeah, it's a cooperative dungeon crawling survival game, but it's done like a tabletop. So it's like a digital virtual reality tabletop. It's one of those ones that's hard to explain, but when you watch it, when you watch some gameplay footage of it, it makes sense, and it's a really cool concept. You're rolling dice and everything. Like you're rolling dice in virtual reality.
It's a VR VTT, virtual tabletop.
Yeah. So there's a character from Yakuza that's getting a spin-off game called Ishin, or Like a Dragon Ishin. A spin-off of the Yakuza Like a Dragon game. It looks really cool. I don't know a ton about it. I've not played a Yakuza game, but I know they're really big. This one looked great. They showed some content. Apparently, there's some PlayStation exclusive quest content for Hogwarts Legacy. And it showed some footage of a character, I think the player, buying a haunted house, basically. Like, the Hogwarts equivalent of a haunted house. You know what I mean? So, and then they showed a new game called Pacific Drive that I, for a little bit, thought it might be like a darker take on the Ghostbusters or something, but it wasn't Ghostbusters. But I kind of got a darker toned vibe of that for some reason. Guy driving out in kind of the woods. It's got like a lot of dark, eerie stuff. He seems to have some sort of weird detection equipment and stuff that made me think he was tracking some kind of supernatural entities. It says it appears to take place in a post-apocalyptic version of the Pacific Northwest. Looks good and eerie. They talked a little bit about the PlayStation Stars loyalty program.
Did he stay in the car the whole time of the trailer?
No, I don't think so. I think he started on foot and then got into the car and then like drove off. And I think he was like pursuing something. Now I don't know how much of it's, gameplay versus, just cutscene stuff or whatever. Then they talked a little bit about the PlayStation Stars loyalty program, showing some of the artwork stuff you can get, some of the items you can get with your Star tokens, your PlayStation Stars. But I still don't know what the frick these things are for. Like, what am I going to do with these?
Is it to go with the trophy program, you said?
It's not. I mean, the trophies, they can make things where you can get rewards attached to trophies. Like, when they talked about it before, they're like, they might have, like, a region. Like, they might have, like, region-based, the first person in a region to get a platinum trophy on a new game, get this specific art piece or something. And I'm like, but where does that go? I don't know what you're doing with this art. So that's kind of the thing.
They're probably going to have a gallery kind of setting where you can go show it off.
Yeah, I think people just like I think it's just like a show-off factor, which is enough for some people. That was enough for people before the internet, you know what I mean? Like playing games on your GameCube, like, you collect things to collect things.
Yeah. I'm guessing there's going to be a gallery that you look at, and maybe your friends can see your gallery too.
Oh, that would be cool.
It's going to be similar to that.
But we don't know. They haven't said any of that. They just say you get these art pieces. I'm like, how do you look at them on your phone? Can you post it on social media? Can your friends see it? I don't know. All I know is there'll be some sort of loyalty program where you can get some sort of digital art somewhere based on your playing of games.
And we've talked about digital art and stuff before. The
one thing we do know is they did come out and publicly say this is not NFTs. Because there was some bad press surrounding it when it was first announced, asking, wait, is PlayStation getting the NFT market? And so they made a statement that it wasn't. So all we got today was a reminder that it exists and that it's rolling out like late September and into October, and some visuals of what some of them look like. But it's just like all black backdrops. I don't know.
So it's non-NFT NFTs.
Yeah.
Because it sounds totally like an NFT.
A new game has been announced from Bandai Namco called Sin Duality. Apparently it has an art style similar to Nier Automata, but more colorful. And it looks like an action game coming out in 2023, featuring mechs and a third-person shooting mechanics. There was a game. Okay, the next thing there was a game that was revealed a while back called Project Eve. They've renamed it Stellar Blade. Before they said it was Stellar Blade, I was thinking it might be some kind of a new Final Fantasy game. So that kind of gives you an idea, like a kind of a futuristic type of a game. It seems like maybe the main objective of the heroes is to try to keep civilization from dying, because it seems to be like some sort of a huge chamber of I don't know, millions of people that are sleeping in cryosleep or something, and they're trying to keep it from losing power while monsters are attacking. Something like that. And the main character seems to be named Eve. Looks pretty cool. The trailer showed off some gameplay and cinematics. Something to keep an eye on. The developer of Neo announced they're working on an open-world samurai game called Rise of the Ronin. That one looked really nice. It's a PlayStation 5 console exclusive, so they were making it clear that this one won't be on Xbox. Set in during the modernization period of Japan. So, like, there were samurai, but, like, you know, pistols were coming around and things were becoming transitioning into more modern.
The end of the samurai era. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like at the tail end of the samurai.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it. I feel like there's something that's not mentioned on this list that IGN made, but of course, besides just the controller I mentioned earlier, they showed a new trailer for God of War Ragnarok that looks fucking dope.
I know you've been waiting on that. You've been waiting on that one.
They had a clip of Kratos and Thor fighting each other, where Thor throws the hammer and Kratos throws the axe, and they collide in the middle.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. They collide, and then they both call their weapons back to them. So they collide and then come back to their hands.
Wow. Sweet.
And then, like, Atreus is keeping some kind of a secret from his dad, but we don't know what it is. But he says it's for his own. He's telling Kratos it's for his own protection, and Kratos is like, "I don't need your protection, boy." He's like, "Are you sure?" And then Kratos is talking to Tyr, the god of war of Nordic culture, and he's like, "I know who you are, God Killer. What are you here for? Are you searching for another god of war or something like that?" But then it shows them kind of like shake hands or something. So whatever's going on, it seems like they're going to become allies.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, like, everything about it just looks great. The kid's a few years older. I think he's in his, like, getting into his teens now. His voice is a little bit deeper. Yeah, I'm super stoked for this game. I cannot wait for this. This is my most anticipated game of the year.
When is it coming up?
November, I think 9th or 11th? 9th? Something like that. I have the $200 edition of it on pre-order.
You and Monica, you both are like hyper excited for it.
I replayed the previous one like a month ago.
I may have to replay it personally.
Yeah.
Just because like it's been so many years since I played the first one. I played it when it came out, like the weekend that it came out.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so that's it for the PlayStation State of Play. Big stuff.
Okay.
A lot to cover from a couple of days of release windows or whatever. Anyway.
We're getting ready to go into.
I need a drink.
We're getting into going into D23. I will point out though, I just got reminded because it just popped in my head. There's a huge bidding war going out for the remake rights to the Neverending Story right now, because none of the current studios own the rights to remake the movie. So there's a bidding war to try to do that as one of the in their big push to remake all the good oldies. So the Neverending Story is currently in a bidding war.
Interesting.
I would love that.
Yeah, a new take on Neverending Story would be interesting. A lot of people may not remember, but John Wesley Shipp played Bastian's father in the second Neverending Story, and of course he was the original 1990s Flash, and then Flash's father and Jay Garrick in the modern Flash, among other things. He's been in so much stuff. But I love the Neverending Story. But anyway, we're getting into D23 Expo, and there's been so much revealed and a little bit of letdown as well. So let's start with the little bit of the letdown, and then we'll go into the more exciting stuff. We were expecting some reveals about Fantastic Four, and the only thing we really got revealed is the director. The director who did WandaVision is doing Fantastic Four, which is great. I think he's a great director. I think WandaVision came out fantastic. So he's a good choice. But we didn't get any cast reveals, which is what we were really hoping for.
Yeah.
That was the thing that a lot of us were on the edge of our seats about, was we wanted to know who's going to be in Fantastic Four.
I'm willing to wage that it's not going to be John Krasinski.
That's still the big rumor, is that John Krasinski was just a one-off fan service for Multiverse of Madness, and that we're not going to get Krasinski as the full-term Reed Richards. And that's acceptable. I mean, at least they did bow to the fan service and throw him in there somewhere as Reed Richards. And he was a good Reed Richards, but maybe they want to go maybe a little younger because they want to have it a longer-term franchise. So they want to go with a younger actor to play Reed Richards, I think. So that was one of the disappointments. Another disappointment is, although they talked about X-Men 97, they did not talk about the Mutants project, the X-Men movie itself. A lot of people had heard rumors. The rumors were going crazy about Hugh Jackman reprising his role as Wolverine and all these other things. They just fell flat. There was nothing about that at all at D23 when it actually came out. So it was a bunch of like empty rumors, it looks like, or if there's any truth to them, they're still keeping them close to the vest. So we didn't really talk about mutants. And speaking of mutants, the third major letdown was no real talk about Deadpool 3 or any showing up of Ryan Reynolds, which is, I think, the three biggest disappointments of the D23 conference. So much was built up, so much hype, so much fake leaked news was coming out about those three projects, and it turns out that almost all of that was not mentioned at all. So we don't know if...
Well, we did get one statement after the D23, and that was that the director is talking about potential, like they don't know how they're going to do it or if they're going to do it, but they'd like to see a Stranger Things and Deadpool crossover.
Huh.
Yeah, but that was post D23, and that was just kind of a little extra fan service at the end.
Yeah.
That wasn't actually part of the expo itself. Now,
no, that's what I was saying. That's
yeah,
what I was saying. That was afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it was like one guy saying they would like to see that happen.
Yeah,
it was the director who said that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't nailed down. It wasn't nailed down.
I didn't say he was going to do it. It's just that's the only statement that they made about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the rest, now we'll get into some of the good stuff for D23. Before we hit Marvel and stuff, there was a little bit on Disney animation. Of course, they showed off the new 100-year logo, which is just a little bit more extensive Disney Princess Castle with 100 years underneath it. And the star goes the other direction over the top, is about the main thing for that logo. Then they talked about the Elements movie, which I thought it looked pretty good. A nice, talk about really redoing the forbidden love opposites attract thing when you got fire and water in a relationship together. Together they make steam. But they did that. They talked about the Strange Worlds project, and it looks really, really good. It totally looks like it's in the style of the old dime store science fiction pulp magazine stories. So that looks like it's going to be really, really interesting. And then the big reveal, really, I mean, other than, like talking about the new live-action Little Mermaid and live-action Mufasa, was the Inside Out sequel. One of the more popular ones originally was Inside Out, and now they're getting a sequel, which looks to be pretty hot in the presses for the non-Marvel, non-Star Wars part of everything. Now I'm going to let you two mainly talk about the Star Wars stuff because you guys are more interested in it than I am, and then we'll all come together and talk about Marvel. So if you guys want to hit some of the Star Wars highlights, go ahead, and I'll go get a soda.
Okay. All right. You want to start?
Yeah, you can, if you like.
Okay. So we got a new trailer for The Mandalorian Season 3. Which seems to show quite a bit about Mandalore. It looks like they're going back and fighting for Mandalore. Bo-Katan is heavily featured in the trailer. There's this cute little moment where she's talking to Grogu, and she's like, "You didn't think your father was the only Mandalorian, did you?" He's like,
I saw that.
And
she also called the offshoot. No, it wasn't her, but they called the offshoot of the Way a cult, and just responsible for the destruction of Mandalorians.
Yeah, she blamed his clan for being having a large amount of responsibility for them being destroyed because they were an overzealous cult.
There's only one reason why I think you would go to Vandalore, or two reasons. One is to try to reconnect with his roots, but realistically, the prophecy or the statement of the Darksaber is whoever wields the Darksaber is the leader of Mandalore.
Yeah.
And wasn't the prophecy supposed to be that the wielder of the Darksaber will bring together Mandalorians? Wasn't that the thing?
I don't remember if there was an actual prophecy to it or not.
Or that was just a statement that was being said about it.
Yeah, I think that's something they were saying about it. And I think my understanding of the Darksaber deal is basically, the Darksaber was crafted by a former leader, the former leader of the Mandalorians, who trained under Jedi and Mandalorian things and made him one of the best Mandalorians ever. And the Mandalorians, as a culture, have a lot of favoritism and a lot of respect for the best warrior. And if you defeat someone in combat, especially if you defeat a leader, you can basically take something from them. And so it's not that the Darksaber itself is that important. It's the symbol of, it gets passed from one leader to another because that leader got defeated by, whoever has it now. It's a very potent weapon. And if you're able to defeat the leader who has it, that means you are better than that previous wielder of it. And so it feeds into their kind of battle-centric ego culture.
I'm hoping that it's the Mandalorian takes the Darksaber and walks up and he's like, I'm the new leader of Mandalore. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I would love to see him on top of that throne.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. The new season looks fantastic. We also saw some more stuff for Andor, the prequel to Star Wars Rogue One, about Cassian Andor, and he's talking about how he's done all kinds of terrible things for the name of the rebellion, and there's some talk about how we can't wait because every minute we don't stop them or every minute we are not fighting back, they are getting stronger, and if we wait, we won't be able to fight back. It looks like a pretty solid show. I'm not as excited for it as I am for Mandalorian 3, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I think that comes out in a few weeks.
I am certainly stunned by Dad Dude Yoda.
Dad Dude Yoda?
Dad Dude, haircut.
Oh.
Dad Dude. Was that on Andor?
Oh,
or was that
that wasn't Andor. That was...
I was getting it mixed up, yeah.
Yeah, there's this other show that's more of an animated show made by the people who made the Bad Batch and I think Star Wars Clone Wars, called Tales of the Star Wars or Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. That's it.
Tales of the Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 2 stories, right?
Yeah, it's like 6 individual stories about events that happened throughout the timeline. One of them appears to be the story of young Count Dooku or younger Count Dooku being seduced by the dark side and him leaving the Jedi Order, which that one featured, a younger Mace Windu and a younger Qui-Gon Jinn all working together. There seems to be an episode about, what's his name, Revan? Wasn't Darth Revan in one of those? There's an episode about Ahsoka Tano when she's like, it starts off with her as a baby and then, then it shows her like being an adult, being trained by Anakin, talking about how his job is to make sure she can defend herself and all this stuff. So that looks like a really good, I'm really interested in seeing Count Dooku's transition. All the stories that we saw, that's one I'm most interested in.
I'm the most interested in Revan, personally, but the Count Dooku one seems like really interesting, because it does seem like he had kind of like this sociopathic nature even back then.
I mean, even then as a Jedi, he's like, I'll do anything in the name of, order and justice or something like that.
When you get Mace Windu being like, what are you doing, man? Like, you've gone a little too far.
Yeah.
Like, that's his thing, is being in the middle of the light and the dark. And he's even telling you you're going a little too far. Like,
yeah.
Is that canon in this universe now? That was the reasoning before why his lightsaber was purple.
I don't know if that's canon for sure. I'm not sure if that's canon yet. I'm trying to think of what other Star Wars. We got some information about Bad Batch Season 2. It's going to be a 16-episode season coming out starting January 4th. I love the Bad Batch Season 1, so they included that in the presentation. I'm scrolling through here. There's a mention here about Ahsoka, but I don't remember that getting mentioned during the deal. Or Star Wars: The Skeleton Crew. So I guess there's like an image of the Skeleton Crew isn't really revealed with Jude Law in it. I don't know what the Skeleton Crew is. I'm not gonna lie, I am lost on that one. I think that's all there is for Star Wars. But if you want to go over some of the other things that's not Marvel yet, there is a handful of other things that were interesting to point out. We got. Let me get to the top of this. We got Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh yeah.
A sequel. Finally, for that movie, that looks
the
pretty
last
hilarious.
6 months, yes. That's pretty badass.
Disenchanted, which is a magical sequel
to Ella Enchanted or something like that. One of the
Enchanted from 2007. I was gonna say, I think I saw a movie about this like a decade ago.
It's a sequel, yeah.
It was right, yeah. So this is a sequel to that. A live-action Peter Pan movie called Peter Pan and Wendy.
Yep.
For Disney Plus. Haunted Mansion. I don't know much about that one.
So it's a remake or a sequel, or like just taking place like later of the Haunted Mansion that starred Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, it's a remake as far as I understand it.
Yeah. So this one's gonna have Jamie Lee Curtis as Madame Leota. I don't think I saw the other one. And yeah, we're getting Mufasa the Lion King with a prequel to the Lion King, made in the same style as the Jon Favreau movie that came out a few years back.
And then Little Mermaid live action.
Live action Snow White starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot.
That's right. I forgot all about that one.
Yeah, Little Mermaid, which we got a trailer for. You already mentioned Elemental and Win or Lose. I think you mentioned that one about baseball.
I didn't mention Win or Lose, no.
Okay. Win or Lose, yeah, it's an animated game about people playing baseball coming out from Pixar. It's an original series. So I don't know much about it. I'm not super into baseball, but it's Pixar. and I'm gonna watch a movie, just about any movie that Pixar makes. At least the first movie. I might not watch all the sequels.
Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of Cars.
Yeah, I liked the first Cars.
They've got a Cars series out on Disney Plus now.
But then the sequels of Cars.
I mean, I like
I don't
Vader.
remember Elio being mentioned. I don't know anything about it. It says, Elio, a boy who finds himself transported across the galaxy and mistaken for the intergalactic ambassador for our planet Earth.
Yeah, that's about all we know about it.
It's also by Pixar. It's not a bad-sounding premise, so I'm going to have to probably keep an eye on that one then. You mentioned Inside Out 2. Apparently there's a Zootopia Plus. It's not a sequel series, but it's a mid-quel series.
Yeah, it's supposed to happen at the same time. Some shorts. I didn't see the coverage for that. All I saw was like a splash poster of it, and then they skipped right over it when they were announcing everything else.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what all was going to be involved there.
There's going to be a new original series called Iwaju that takes place in Lagos, Nigeria.
Oh yes, yeah, that looked pretty good.
CG animated show from Disney Animation for Disney Plus in 2023.
In cooperation with a Nigerian production company.
Oh.
Yeah, Nigerian press. Yeah.
I imagine like a Disney rep out there being like, "Yeah, we got a letter from a Disney prince in Nigeria that wanted to make a movie, and this is the result of that."
That's absolutely right. That's totally it.
Yeah. He said he could give me $10 million to make a movie. All he needed me to do was send him a $300 gift card.
Nigeria is like
to send me the script.
It's miles and miles of computers with half-dressed women in cages and webcams. Is all Nigeria is, and then that area is surrounded by princes. That's got to be it, because that's.
Strange World, which they gave a new look to it, which looks like a pretty cool movie coming out in November in theaters.
Yeah, I mentioned that one.
That one looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks very 1950s, 60s noir magazine, sci-fi noir. Yeah, it looks very good.
Yeah. It kind of looks like characters going through a Doctor Strange adventure without having Doctor Strange with them.
It's very similar to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Kind of that kind of aesthetic. But as animation.
Something new from Disney Animation called Wish that I don't know anything about. I'm just kind of like reading it on here.
Right.
Let's see. There's Star Wars.
Wish is a project where if you use it, you can watch any of the movies underneath it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a joke.
We're getting a sequel series for Disney Plus of Willow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It is huge.
My wife is really excited.
That was actually going to be my From the Vault this week, just because of that, but I'm pushing it to next week.
Oh yeah.
I don't
think it's the original, so I'm gonna have to watch it. I'm sure it's on Disney Plus. So.
It is on Disney Plus. I just watched it yesterday.
Perfect.
I just rewatched Utopia yesterday too, actually.
Oh, they put out a little bit of footage for Indiana Jones 5, and Harrison Ford was there, and he was really emotional, talking about how much he loved this movie.
I missed that completely. So much.
Yeah, I saw some of the footage of him, and he was having a hard time speaking, and that's not something you see from Harrison Ford very often, you know?
That is a big deal, because he never really seemed like emotionally attached to his stuff. Like whenever he was asked what his acting style was, he'd look at the reporter and be like, "Acting style?" He says, "I'm just playing pretend." He's like, "All I'm doing is walking on stage, I'm saying my lines, and I'm coming down, and that's all I do." And it's just like, that guy, like, I love his approach. I wish it was that easy.
Yeah. They also talked a little bit about Avatar: The Way of Water, and also, interestingly, they made an announcement about an Avatar video game that looks kind of like Fortnite, where you're like parachuting in and you're a blue alien using guns to fight mechs and shit. And I was like, this. I haven't seen the movie in a while, but this doesn't feel like the story that the movie was telling, like them running around like commandos, the aliens.
Those are not the aliens. Those are the avatars. Those are humans in the avatar suits. In the movie, like remember, it was like in the original movie, this soldier who didn't have control of his leg was able to transfer his consciousness into an avatar, and that was just something common in order to go out onto the native plane.
Yeah, that's the same thing. And Sigourney Weaver did that, and that was the whole theme.
That's right. It was like a disguise to live amongst the natives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the people also had like were inside these mechs and stuff like that, and like that was the final boss fight was them trying to fight the mech that looked like a loader from Aliens, and you know that so that actually sounds kind of on point. It sounds like they got to the point where they're arming their human military with these avatars.
Yeah. Another thing that has me really excited, something that I'm really hopeful for, is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, that looked really good.
Oh yeah, and they got Rick Riordan actually like working on the show. He came on stage and talked about how he's being involved with every step of this project, and then he even introduced the 3 stars of the show. Freaking brilliant.
I've never ever read the book series, but I'm excited to like watch it.
It's a good series.
Gosh, like okay.
It's a good series.
Here's how much they butchered the Lightning Thief.
Oh my God.
Imagine they wrote the first imagine they released the first Harry Potter movie and never mentioned Voldemort. That's how much they fucked up Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief, doesn't even name drop the main villains of the fucking franchise.
It's terrible.
The big boss fight at the end of the book isn't in it at all. They have him fight a kid instead of Ares. In the book, he fought Ares. In the movie, he fought like Ares' son or something on a
running joke for me and my friends for that movie was every time anybody mentioned Percy Jackson the movie, we were like, best movie ever, with a deadpan sarcastic thing, because it was the worst movie adaptation ever. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And the Sea of Monsters was even worse.
I wasn't in school when it came out, so I had no reason to read it.
I wasn't, but I read it anyway. I'm older than both of you, but I loved it.
I got the books as like a gift. And so that's how I got them, because I have a big fascination with the Olympic gods, and so my mom knowing that I liked reading and that I liked the Olympic gods, bought me the Percy Jackson Olympians books.
So
have you read Rick Riordan's Egyptian series?
I've not read those.
Oh, they're good too.
So I'm gonna have to go back and reread, because I only remember the first couple books fairly much. You know, I'm like so fuzzy on it, and so
I read all
most of what I remember is what they did wrong in the movies.
Well, I've read all the Percy series and at least the first 2 in the Jason series. I don't know if they did many more after that because I fell off of getting them.
Yeah, the second movie flopped so bad they didn't make a third movie.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the movies. Yeah. You did remind me of something else.
Disney Marvel?
We're going to talk about Marvel, and you reminded me of something I did want to mention from Marvel after you got done with that. They did announce, they haven't given the name yet, but a Marvel video game that features Captain America and T'Challa.
Oh, yes. World War II, Captain America, and not T'Challa, T'Challa's grandfather.
Well, a Black Panther.
Yeah.
So
and Captain America and the Howling Commandos.
Yeah, yeah. There's a Howling Commando and also another like Wakanda spy or something that's working with them too. That's right.
That's exciting. Yeah, no, that's it looks amazing.
Yeah, I thought you'd be excited about that one.
Oh, I am very thrilled. I knew that there was a new Marvel game in the works from Amy Hennig, but I didn't know what it was until. And that's better than what I was expecting. You know, I was like, maybe it's a Fantastic Four game or something, but no, this is this like period piece game.
Oh yeah,
it's perfect.
So different. It's so different, and I don't want to say it'll bomb, but if it does bomb, it's so different from like everything else that Marvel put out, largely, that it's not like it would hurt the image.
It's not going to hurt the rest of the franchise, no.
I mean,
Oh no.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Them doing this is probably them like putting their feelers out of like how interested are people in this kind of secret.
Well, Amy Hennig is kind of a big name in game developing circles, and so she probably was just able to go to them and be like, "This is the game I want to make," and then they approved.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I hope that this is a good territory to go into because more than anything, we know that they have a Human Torch, the android, because they had it in a museum. We know that there's been a hero like with Ant-Man, like Hank Pym in the MCU, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we could easily do a period piece movie, and like even have like a MCU timeline of series of movies that's specifically that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Silver Age MCU. Yeah.
That's one thing the one thing I'm disappointed about Chris Evans retiring from the role, as I was hoping that before he retired from the role, we'd get one more like period piece that took place during World War II with him and Wolverine working together.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
they just took their time dragging their feet with the whole X-Men thing, which I'm glad for because like it just doesn't. I don't know if X-Men are going to exist in this universe as if they had always been there. That's just not the language people do, you know.
Well, part of it is there's something having to do with the contract.
I mean it's all about the contract, but
yeah.
Now they got to find a way to.
Yeah, they got to find a way to either excuse their absence this whole time, or make it so that they're all starting to pop out now for some reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're probably going to do something where they say like they were trying to keep hidden initially.
Yeah. We have so much news to cover. I don't know if we have any time for speculating today.
Yeah. Not today. Okay. Anyway, onward with Marvel. Charlie Cox got interviewed, and there's a few reveals that he did. One, he revealed that the new Daredevil series is a season 1, not a season 4. So it is a reboot of Daredevil. And he also confirmed through, may have been a slip of the tongue, that he's only really in one episode of She-Hulk. But he's definitely in Echo. Charlie Cox is of course amazing. And his portrayal of Matt Murdock is, in my opinion, brilliant. But getting a chance to reimagine it and still be the character, I think, is a boon. And Vincent D'Onofrio is really a great Wilson Fisk. And that caliber of actor, and how he talked about working with the lead actress from Echo, the deaf Latino actress, I can't think of her name right now, was high praise because he was saying that he saw, him and her, and that's, Vincent D'Onofrio has been doing stuff for years and years, and He's classically trained and everything. So the talk about Echo and Daredevil and stuff was an amazing bit of reveal there. That was a big one. Other things, we did not get a lot of the other reveals, like what's his name, Esposito was supposed to be hired, Denzel Washington was hired for Marvel roles, but we didn't really get reveals of what their roles were going to be. But
they did tell us who the cast of the Thunderbolts was.
They did.
And they had them come out.
Bucky Barnes to the Thunderbolts. That was something we weren't expecting.
I honestly was. I actually did call that.
You did? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, if anything, the TV show kind of like just spread light on how dark Bucky Barnes still is. You know, I don't know. It's and I forget what her name is. The agent that is currently collecting all of these anti-heroes.
Contessa.
Yeah. She is a very persuasive woman, very charismatic, and I'm sure that if she offered Bucky Barnes a target that he's not been able to access, he'd probably do anything.
The one thing I worry about is Bucky Barnes interacting with U.S. Agent because they didn't get along in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. So now I'm curious who's going to be the leader of the group between Bucky and U.S. Agent.
They did show Bucky as the front character in the splash, but that doesn't indicate who's the actual leader.
Yeah.
The one with the most experience would probably be Bucky.
I was expecting. There are two characters I was expecting to be there that weren't. Baron Zemo and Abomination.
Yeah, and that was kind of surprising because I was expecting definitely Abomination, and Baron Zemo has been kind of a central rumor since the whole Thunderbolts thing started coming in whispers.
Yeah. And no Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah, that was another one that kind of.
I mean, the actor who played Thunderbolt Ross has passed away recently.
So it might be a memorial team in his name.
Yeah.
Right. But
so like in canon, they already talked about the triple bypass. Twice in the TV show, they talked to him about, TV show, or was it a movie? They talked to him about the triple bypass the first time that we see him, and then they talked about heart problems twice after that. So I feel like they knew he was getting sick, and was like.
I just recently rewatched The Incredible Hulk too.
So I don't know how disrespectful this would be, but if the family members were like, okay, and the proceeds went to their family members, I would probably have no problem with them still continuing the character, but him as a Red Hulk.
Yeah.
He wouldn't actually need to be there, and canonically he wasn't able to switch between the two when he became Red Hulk.
Have a Red Hulk and another actor that kind of has a similar sounding voice.
Yeah. If the family members have no problem with him continuing that legacy and they're getting paid for his likeness being used, then I would be on board with that decision.
Well, not to be disrespectful, but I don't think legally, if he's a Red Hulk, I don't think they owe anything technically for his likeness.
No, I guess not likeness, but respect of continuing to utilize the character that he was.
Yeah.
For instance, Black Panther, they didn't have to change who Black Panther was, but out of respect for, they could have chosen another actor, but didn't.
Yeah.
They could have just been T'Challa lives, he just looks a little different. Like they did with, War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
War Machine, Edward Norton,
Yeah.
Red Skull.
They don't have a problem with changing the actors. And so that's kind of like what I'm saying is like, out of respect, I could see Disney doing that.
Mm.
I could see where people would probably find it disrespectful to continue the character even though the actor is dead and not give money to the family.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping that's what happens. It's like that's the
Especially,
surprise is that the Thunderbolt is being led by a wrestler.
Yeah.
especially since they canonized Incredible Hulk by mentioning the whole change in She-Hulk.
I mean, they canonized that in the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, they even included it in the box set. That thing's been
right.
That thing was canonized a long time ago.
But they recanonized it recently. Now the other thing they did with the Thunderbolts is they confirmed that right now there is no Avengers in the MCU. The Avengers are currently dead. There's no active team. So even though they might be kind of forming up a new Avengers team, it's not gone public yet.
Yeah, it's probably like a Dark Avengers event where they're calling the Thunderbolts the Dark Avengers.
Right.
Without calling it the Dark Avengers because that's very on the nose. So they might be going with more of a Dark Avengers as opposed to an actual true Thunderbolt team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. What else do they have? They had there was other Marvel announcements we got too.
Also did they touch on Blade? Because I didn't find anything on it.
I didn't see anything about Blade.
Which is another disappointment. They did touch though, and we were talking about this earlier before we started the stream. Me and Angel, Werewolf by Night. The noir black and white looked awesome.
It does. Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I love the older sci-fi / horror movies, like from the 1940s.
It looks like a classic black and white horror noir presentation.
Yeah.
It just has that whole, and they got the feel, not just black and white. They got the whole feel of it. It looks like something with Lon Chaney or Bela Lugosi or. You expect Peter Cushing or Lon Chaney or Bela Lugosi to come walking out on stage because it's got that feel to it.
This October, less than a month from now, October 7th.
I know.
Yeah, that looks fucking great. That trailer was brilliant. I'm hoping that the movie or show sticks to that vibe, but. Or it might just end up being that way for the trailer. It's hard to say, but
they said they were going to keep the black and white all the way through.
So I think it was just a trailer, just because I don't see them being able to integrate that style into the larger Marvel universe.
Well, they did say that they are doing the black and white all the way through the movie. It's not just a trailer.
Wait, they said that?
They said that.
Oh, yeah, black and white, sure, but we're talking about, like, the acting.
But we don't know about the acting style and stuff, right? Those might have just been highlights that happened to fit that motif. But at least they're going to do the black and white all the way through, which lends...
Is it a movie or is it a TV show?
It is a special event on Disney+. Plus.
Yeah, they're calling it a special. They're calling it a Halloween special.
Just like Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Edition. It's a Halloween
they got a Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday special this December.
Which they didn't really cover at D23 that I saw.
I didn't see that either. But I did see a trailer for Secret Invasion.
Oh yeah, Secret Invasion and Armor Wars. They talked a little bit about both.
I'm gonna have to pause. Mute myself.
Okay. Yeah, they did talk about both Secret Invasion and Armor Wars a little bit.
Yeah, they actually had a whole trailer for Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
They talked about Armor Wars, but they didn't show a trailer for it.
Yeah. But the Don Cheadle was brought out on stage, and then they introduced that he was in both projects, and then they started talking about Secret Invasion, which is, of course, supposed to be Marvel's first crossover event on Disney Plus. And the first real, in essence, trying to do like the crossovers that they did with the CW-verse. This is their first kind of crossover event that they're doing for Marvel on the Disney Plus series. And Nick Fury is going to be the point man for this project. And Don Cheadle is going to be one of the main supporting characters as War Machine. And it looks amazing. I'm chomping at the bit for it. There's so much other stuff going on. We're not even going to talk about DC stuff today because this show is more, except for Stargirl, we're not talking about DC today really, but this was an exciting element for the Marvel side of things, and I'm just really chuffed. I love it. I can't wait. We're going to have so much to do for the end of the year this year. We are going to be glued to our screens like all the fucking time, man.
Yeah.
We are going to be in pig heaven when it comes to nerd TV.
True.
So amazing. This is one of those great holiday seasons. They've given us a holiday gift of lots of Marvel and lots of Star Wars and lots of Disney, Pixar. I mean, it's just good on top of good with even better, with a side of goodness.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing all the stuff in Secret Invasion. Of course, the other Thunderbolts that we didn't even mention, like Ghost and Taskmaster and Black Widow 2. And they added Red Guardian to the Thunderbolts too. So we get to see more of David Harbour. That was exciting. We're still going to be picking little bits out of our teeth after this because we had such a big meal of this weekend, and it's like we're still picking bits out of our teeth of all this greatness.
Yeah, I spent hours this weekend watching D23 announcements. There was just so much coverage, so much content.
Yeah, I was trying so hard to comb through YouTube to get as much as I could from it, and I still missed some of the announcements. I didn't see the Indiana Jones at all, for instance. But it's looking great. And I just can't wait for more details going into next year and the year after, because the Phase 5 and Phase 6 are going to be so jam-packed with stuff that we are going to be emotionally exhausted by the time Phase 7 starts. I mean, we're going to be emotionally exhausted by the time we're halfway through Phase 5. But there's just so much going on, and let's kind of stop the whole D23 for now, because we could touch on some more of that next week if we have to. But it's already up after 9.
Before we do, I would like to change.
Oh, you're back.
Now that I know it's a special, I would like to change my opinion on Werewolf by Night, where now that I know it's a special and probably not, if not canon, probably won't be important to the major MCU.
Right, so they might keep up that.
Now, I don't only think that they will do it in that whole,
noir.
Theme, but I need them to. I desperately want them to have done it in that style.
It would be value added to do that. It would totally make it even more worthwhile. I agree. I think that would add immensely to the whole experience, and I'm looking forward to it. So the beginning of October, when that drops, I'm going to be glued to the set to see how that falls out. I'm totally going to be there. But other than that, we're kind of going to be done with D23 for now, because we still have a little bit of Sandman to touch on. We still have She-Hulk and we still have Stargirl. So let's see. We're not looking at the scientific. We're not looking at that. Okay. Sandman. Okay, what do we still have left to really talk about to finalize our Sandman coverage? There's just so much to it. They still have not confirmed a season 2. I will give you that. It spent like 4 weeks on the top of the Netflix roster until Echoes came out, and then Echoes knocked it off. But it's not.
I think we still need to talk about the last two. We haven't really talked about Sandman's like depression and how death helped him through his depression.
Yeah, that was helpful.
We haven't talked about the reader or like the writer episode. That was part of the Cat one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Calliope.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the serial killers? No, it's Calliope.
Calliope.
Oh, it's Calliope, right.
Calliope, yeah.
Calliope, which is one of the muses. Yeah, we have the bonus episode to talk about, and we do need to talk about the serial killer convention, the convention, the serial convention,
or whatever,
with the
collectors.
Yes.
Yeah, they call it a serial convention.
Yeah, and everybody's thinking like Lucky Charms and shit, but no, this isn't exactly the cereal we're talking about. That was an amazing kind of conceptual idea, and then having the one nightmare come in, and for the life of me, I can't think of his name right now, or his title. But
the Corinthian.
Corinthian, yes. I should think of Corinthian leather. But yeah, the Corinthian coming in as their guest of honor was so cool, because I love the whole character of the Corinthian with his teeth for eyes and his so, I'll do what I want attitude, and then isn't this what I was designed for? Why are you trying to stifle me? Kind of thing. He's living his own reality kind of thing, no matter what.
He was very deluded.
Yes.
Yeah.
And seeing the various ways they skirted around that, and then the other flavors of serial killers that came into the convention. It was a nice hodgepodge cross-section of serial killers throughout the world, and kind of explained it as he almost, in the context of the show, he kind of inspired the serial killer movement.
Yeah.
And that was great.
Yeah, he certainly inspired like a certain kind of movement, because and we all find out later that the only reason why he did any of it was to feel more human.
Yeah. But he also wants to live up to what he thought he was designed for. Not realizing that he's there to teach people through the dreams. He's also, supposed to eventually end. He's not supposed to be an ongoing thing forever with people. And that's kind of a conceptual thing that the Corinthian could not get through his head.
Yeah.
And
his
then
job isn't to scare people, it's to help them overcome their fears. Yeah.
And then there was two.
He was supposed to inspire their fears in dreams so that they can face them in reality.
Yeah, and then we got the two other escaped quote-unquote nightmares, one of which was actually a personification of a nightmare environment, and that was played by Fry. And so he wasn't a nightmare environment? He was a dream, not a nightmare. He was just a dream who didn't come back. Yeah, but he was one of the loyal dreams that Morpheus had that had gone out, but he actually still is loyal, and he ends up coming back and helping them fight the Corinthian in a way by informing the dream realm.
So I try to look at all the scenes where the Corinthian showed his eyes, and I just see empty eye sockets. It's really interesting you talk about him having teeth where his eyes should be, because that's the way it was in the comics, but not in the TV show. Like, I paused.
No,
I didn't see any teeth or mouth.
If you get a close up in the last couple of episodes where you see him when he takes his glasses off, you actually see the upper and lower teeth, but you got to look real closely.
Do you really?
Yeah, you see it. You see his teeth when he takes off the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the very first time he took off his glasses, I did not see his teeth. So I'm glad that they maintained it. I thought they were just showing empty eye sockets, because I was like, at least I feel like it's fake.
I had a trouble seeing what it was before, but I knew from the comic book what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in the same position.
I had forgotten.
I don't know, it didn't seem like he had teeth in there.
But he did at the end.
Even the little skull of his, whenever he was destroyed, the little remaining skull of his had teeth in his eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that.
They did a close-up of that.
But, yeah, I mean, it's weird that you didn't notice the teeth, because Allie, the thing that bothered Allie the most was his teeth for eyes. It freaked him out when he saw without glasses.
I feel like the reason why I didn't see them, or at least it was hard for me to see, was because I was watching them on my phone.
Oh, yeah, that might make a difference. I think the second time you see him on screen, there's a moment where he takes his glasses off for just a little bit. You see the teeth.
That moment, I looked hard for the teeth and couldn't find any. That was all on my phone. That's like, okay, all right, we'll move on.
But then there was the other nightmare.
Really good job. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, then there was the other nightmare who was ended up being like the guide for her little brother, the Sandman. In this case, really, he visualized himself as a superhero, the Sandman. So she was interesting because she started out as a nightmare, but really wanted to become a dream.
Yeah.
And originally, Morpheus is too hidebound in his ways and says, no, you were made as a nightmare and you did wrong and I'm punishing you, blah, blah, blah. But then they, as a mark of Morpheus's emotional growth near the end of the series, he acknowledges and allows her to be a dream.
Yeah, and I like how that wasn't resolved in the same episode. That was like, they moved on, had other things happening, but then he learned from his mistakes and went back and readdressed that mistake from before.
Yeah, they tied that knot a lot later, which was, I think, another mark of the pacing that Gaiman is so known for. His pacing in his books, in his comic books, and now in this, just shows that he has got not just an out-of-the-box thinking process, but he's got a really good concept of pacing. And because if you've ever, read his stuff, you feel that same intrinsic understanding of how to pace his stories for his readers. He's a true genius. I mean, we can't say that enough.
Yeah.
Can't say it enough.
Yeah, so they did a really good job of showcasing a variety of different serial killers. One of the things that they showed was 3 different kinds of religiously zealot serial killers.
Yeah.
3 different kinds of serial killers.
Because one of the most
they kept doing that.
One of the most common serial killer profiles is the religious zealot, the fanatic. Yeah. And so it was great that they didn't shy away from showing that that's still, a truth. Even in this fictional world, a lot of people who gravitate towards being serial killers are people who have a heavy religious doctrine as part of their serialized killing philosophy. It worked. It worked well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the final views of Lucifer were pretty amazing. How they're building up to the potential for season 2, and the more direct conflict between Lucifer and Morpheus.
Well, even more so than that, Morpheus and his brother
Desire, right?
And I feel like that's the big, like, I feel like the immediate threat is Lucifer, but the longer term threat is certainly Desire. And I'm just like, I'm ready for season 2 and then season 3, because I'm just ready for destruction to come back.
I'm hoping that the new policy at Netflix, which is now to start canceling some of their more expensive series, even if they do well, is not going to make the Sandman a casualty.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going forward with Stranger Things, and that was a really expensive series to make, but they're going forward with Stranger Things to do the final season, and they're even talking about doing Stranger Things spinoffs. They're going forward with Cobra Kai and talking about Cobra Kai spinoffs. So I would really, even though season 6 of Cobra Kai has not been 100% greenlit yet, they did say that they'd already filmed a couple of the episodes of season 6 scenes while they were filming season 5. So they're anticipating its renewal and spinoffs.
That show's really grown out a lot bigger than I was expecting when I first heard it was existence.
Ralph Macchio
it's like
grew out bigger than he expected.
Show, and now it's like, how many seasons are we going to go with this?
They're thinking that 6th or 7th will be the last season of the main show, but there's talk about at least 4 potential spinoffs.
Of Cobra Kai?
Yes.
Wow.
And we're not going to go into the details about that right now because we've got about 18 minutes left, and we still want to talk about She-Hulk, and we want to talk about Stargirl. I think we're mainly we've rounded out the Sandman. I mean, we could still talk about it for days and days and days because we all 3 adore the series.
Yeah.
And we adore Neil Gaiman, so we could just gush forever. Is there any final thoughts? I'm going to point at each of you once to do that, and then we're going to move on. Lurch, any final thoughts on Sandman that you want to get off your chest?
No, not really. Just I love the nature of how that works, and I love how we're getting to see how every episode, for the most part, is really a different person's story and how they interact with dreams and how the dreams interact with people. And then he comes in to show what his responsibility is and how a lapse in his responsibilities affects the rest of the world. Yeah. So I like how the show isn't about Sandman. It's about the effects that the Sandman has on the world. And and it's just
even though
it's a nice change of pace for most shows.
Even though he's the main character, they don't make a point of always focusing on him. They make the other characters matter.
They turn him into a natural disaster, and everyone has to deal with or without him.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really a disaster movie or like TV series.
And we really haven't talked about the bonus episode yet, but we can push that through to next week. Now, Angel, do you have anything that you really want to mention real quick?
I think honestly, I just said it.
You just said it?
How it's more like a disaster movie, like the Godzilla flicks you like, where Godzilla's not the main character; he's the natural disaster coming in. The main characters are the protagonists that are trying to survive
this
disaster coming in.
Like the city of Japan,
the
city of New York.
I think those are the best kaiju films that focus on that, and I think that's what Neil Gaiman did really well with Sandman.
Yeah, I have to agree with I like that way of describing it.
Morpheus, in a lot of ways, was part of the environment, not just the main character, and that adds to the storytelling. I can agree with both of you on that. So we're going to move on now from Sandman, but we do reserve the right to talk about the bonus episode next week. Still haven't even talked about that. We just mentioned it, but we never talked about it. So we'll talk about Calliope and the Dream of Cats next week. Right. She-Hulk. We've got the newest episode, of course. In this case, it's really focusing on her love life and trying to get a date is a big part of the overarching theme this time, as well as Wong's predicament with the Donnie Blaze character, who has a sling ring. He has kept his sling ring from when he went to the Wizarding City to train. Even though he flunked out, he kept his sling ring and he's been misusing it. So it's funny because a lot of people thought that Donnie Blaze was a Easter egg to possibly foreshadow a Ghost Rider character, but right now we have not touched on any Ghost Rider relative to Blaze, even though the last name. They did point out that the assistant to Donnie Blaze is the oldest living actor to be in an MCU movie.
Yeah.
At 104 years old.
I would like to say that Donnie Blaze might still be Johnny Blaze, just a different entrance into the Marvel canon, right?
Yeah, we just haven't gone there yet.
Blaze, and instead of being a stuntman, he was a magician who he probably made a deal to start making money off of his shows because it's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, the girl mentions that she had to make a deal with a goat or whatever, a demon goat. That could be leading into Donnie Blaze then doing the same thing and making a deal because he's already found a way to open portals to those realms.
And the goat named Jake is theorized to possibly be Mephisto. So
Jake.
So
I know Jake. So I think that a lot of people online were saying, I know Jake as oh my god, but Jake is such a common name, and I think what they meant by that was, that guy knows a regular dude named Jake, versus this otherworldly entity that's in there, which she almost certainly got the name wrong.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the Dixie character of Madison, 2 N's, 1 Y, not where you think, is just kind of a fun playoff of Wong. She gets to play off of Wong really well and keeps spoiling his TV shows, which is great.
The name's Madison with 2 N's and a Y, but it's
not where you think. Yeah. She's an interesting character, and you're not expected to really bond with her, but you're like, you know what? She kind of fits the series. And then She-Hulk having trouble with the dating app, and first she tries as Jennifer, and she doesn't get shit. Then she tries as She-Hulk, and she ends up finding that one doctor that was just perfect for her until the next morning when he sees her as Jen and then just loses all interest. He seems like such a great, well-adjusted, fully, ideal mate kind of guy for her. And then he just can't deal with the fact that she has a regular alter ego that's not the She-Hulk.
He loves her She-Hulk, but he doesn't love her Jennifer.
Yep. And she wants to be Jennifer more than She-Hulk, so there's no way that she would just stay in She-Hulk form just to keep the guy, even though the guy was jacked and she loved that. And he's a doctor and he's articulate and he seems to be emotionally stable and all the things that she would normally look for in a guy. He had to have some flaw, and his flaw was he couldn't handle Jennifer.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the big ending where we find out that She-Hulk is being sued by Titania because she has copyrighted the name She-Hulk, and we find out in one of the commercials this week that she's actually named a synth She-Hulk. And that's why she's copyrighted the name, supposedly. But it was really just probably a way to get back at her for stopping her in the courtroom.
Well, besides that, the word She-Hulk has become a popular name after that case.
Right.
And people are saying it, and if you want to try to
link up to it, yeah.
Yeah, leech off of that fame.
And that's probably going to be the opening for Charlie Cox to come in as her defender. Because she's being sued and she wouldn't represent herself. So, because a smart lawyer doesn't represent themselves, just like a, smart doctor isn't going to operate on themselves and so on. So, that'll be the opening for Charlie Cox to come in as another defense attorney. Because now that she's in the defense side and not the prosecution side, we were wondering how we were going to link into Matt Murdock. And of course, when we get Matt Murdock is also when we going to get Daredevil. And we know, like I said, that we're going to get one episode that features Daredevil. And then, because he was only there for one day of shooting, he admitted that at D23. That doesn't mean that we won't get a couple of flashes of Daredevil in flashback scenes in other episodes, but Daredevil himself is only going to really be featured in one episode.
If you're only there for one day of filming, that's not many minutes of screen time.
So I mean, the thing I'm most excited about is that costume is my favorite comic book costume of Daredevil and always has been.
The yellow costume?
And it looks so fucking good. That looks it's such an excellent looking Charlie Cox costume from the previews that we saw for the She-Hulk.
Yeah.
It's so good. Sorry, I was making it my way down here. I just loved, I do like that she's going to have to be in a legal battle versus Titania. I think for Titania it's a little nice, and she's going to be a bitch about it, obviously, but I think it was more so for money than it was malice that she took the She-Hulk name, just because it was uncopyrighted.
Yeah.
Right. She's an opportunistic person.
Yeah.
She's more opportunistic
it's a very popular name.
Yeah. Oh. It is going to be interesting to see how they handle it, but it does give them the perfect opening to bring Matt Murdock in.
Yeah.
It may not be how they bring Matt Murdock in, but it is the perfect opening to bring Matt Murdock in. So I'm assuming this week's episode is going to be the long-awaited Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock, Daredevil episode.
So I will be okay with them bringing Matt Murdock in, but it would seem a little shoehorned since they don't know that he's a superhero, and they accidentally hired the only known superhero who's also a lawyer.
Well, it probably depends if they specifically say, if the law firm that she's working for specifically says that she has to hire an outside lawyer, that they're not going to provide her a lawyer.
Well, that's true, but is he a lawyer? I mean, I don't know about this canon Matt Murdock, but he's a lawyer in New York, and there's probably a ton of copyright lawyers, not criminal defense attorneys.
Right. Well,
in L.A., where she is?
Yeah, in L.A., where she is, which is an entirely different case.
Yeah. This is an argument I made a few weeks ago, because I'm like, he's he's on the other side of the country.
Yeah, he's Hell's Kitchen.
There'd have to be a case that he did also handle Spider-Man, which was high profile, so he might be brought on because he's high profile, regardless of the state that he's in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they don't know now that he represented Peter Parker.
Yeah.
All they know, like they may not know that he represented Spider-Man.
Well, they may know he represented Spider-Man, but can't remember who Peter Parker was.
Yeah, it's really vague and magical how that's all happening.
Yeah.
But
it also
because people do remember Spider-Man. Doctor Strange remembers Spider-Man, but he doesn't remember Peter Parker.
Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of like how he didn't represent Spider-Man, just Peter Parker. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like there was an aspect of Spider-Man that was there. It's he was only representing Peter Parker.
We also don't know if this episode is happening pre or post Doctor Strange's spell.
That's true.
Because they've been doing some stuff with time that's a little different.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
So
I don't know. I personally am gonna say that that Charlie Cox isn't going to be representing her, or like, you know, Matt Murdock isn't going to be representing her. I feel like she's gonna probably try to represent herself.
It might be
or she'll have to rely on the guy that she's been shitting on this whole time, which I think is a funnier take.
Yeah.
But he's still a prosecutor.
I'm thinking that she is going to, or he's coming, my thinking is he specifically has come to town to meet with her.
Could be.
Not because she coincidentally is hiring him as a lawyer, but he knows that she's a lawyer and is a superhero, and as a lawyer superhero, wanted to meet with her and try to help her.
I agree with that. I think that kind of like allows you to still have suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Because like it's a lot harder to imagine that someone hired him all the way in Hell's Kitchen for this one very vague like annoyance that she has.
Well,
she barely likes the She-Hulk name.
This does say that a couple of commenters have said that this gives Charlie Cox the excuse to come to the West Coast.
I mean, sure, he could use it as an excuse, but it's
not
like she just hired him by accident. He may
have reached out to her, and I think that is probably what's going to happen. Is one, her own firm is not going to let her use one of the other lawyers. The one guy she's been cheating on is a prosecutor, so she's not going to, and she doesn't like him anyway. So I doubt if she would call him in to represent her. If anything, she would take the guy that represented him as being her legal representation if she was going to do anybody from the firm, if allowed. But Charlie Cox hears about the case and decides, one, he wants to see another lawyer superhero, whether he reveals to her or not. So, and he wants an excuse to go visit California. He hops on a plane, comes up, and offers his services to her as a lawyer. And she takes him up on the offer, whether or not he reveals that he's a superhero.
You know, and that's okay, but that's also like still going against the whole criminal. He's a criminal attorney. There's a reason why divorce attorneys aren't traffic accident attorneys.
Yeah.
You know, there's a particular field that you're.
He's not the right kind of lawyer, and he's not a lawyer in the state of California. He's a lawyer in the state of New York.
That's true.
And different states have different laws.
Well,
yeah, so I just doesn't make sense. It is just such a leap of
faith.
Yeah, I really don't. I wouldn't mind it. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, especially since she's a lawyer in an office full of lawyers.
I think that they're going to be asshole enough not to let her have representation
all sorts
from the
of kind
firm.
of lawyers. So it just it doesn't make any sense.
I think their firm is going to refuse to because they're going to be like, think and swim on your own. Because if you lose, we don't want to be.
Why would they do that to their new star lawyer of their new division?
Because they're an asshole firm.
Profile celebrity. They would do anything to protect her.
Yeah.
But she's going up against a high-profile celebrity. Because Titanium is supposed to be a celebrity.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, it's not like corporate business protects corporate business. You know what I mean? It's they don't throw one of them under the bus because they understand it's self-preservation when they don't. So, I don't think I think that's what they're trying to tell you is going to happen. I think it's a red herring. I don't think it's going to happen that way. I agree with Lurch. I think that he's going to try to contact her, not to be her lawyer, but to talk superhero lawyer to superhero lawyer.
Yeah. To be a counsel. Not necessarily legal counsel, but a counsel.
I personally think he's there, not only because she's a lawyer and a superhero, but to deal with this weird problem that they have with thugs wanting to take her blood, which I think is the leader.
Yeah, that's probably the leader.
And that happened in New York, which means that if the reason why they would move from New York to Los Angeles is because there's a new Hulk in town that lives in Los Angeles who he can get blood from, who isn't a Hulk full time like Bruce Banner is.
Right.
And if they went from New York to L.A. and Daredevil was tracking them and their activities because they're sketchy, then he might have followed them from New York to L.A. and that's why they're meeting.
Did the Wrecking Crew attack her in New York?
No, the Wrecking Crew attacked her in L.A. That's what I'm saying. If he was tracking them in New York, because that's where the Incredible Hulk movie took place in Brooklyn.
Right.
Yeah.
And partially in Hell's Kitchen.
Partially in Harlem.
Yeah, partially in Harlem. That's what I meant. And so you know that was a New York incident. Leaders in New York. So if he sent his goons to L.A., it's not a hard leap to say that while in New York, he Daredevil had his eyes on them, and then they moved to L.A. to go take the blood from She-Hulk. It's likely that he's in L.A. because he's tracking the goons who are trying to take the blood from She-Hulk.
And he could.
And
so consulting with her as
there is because he's like dealing with that, because that's still an unresolved string we have seen nothing about.
Yeah.
And he could use this visiting with her.
We spent about 80% of our She-Hulk conversation speculating instead of talking about the episode we watched.
It's fantastic.
So the episode. Gosh, I don't even remember what we said now.
A lot of it was about her dating, or Wong, and the whole part about the sling ring and suing somebody for not being a real wizard.
Yeah.
But, stage magician.
That's gonna
make himself.
I think if Dr. Strange was trying to take care of this, he would have just stolen the ring from the guy, forcefully taken it or something.
Taking the sling ring or
cut off his hand. I don't think Dr. Strange has time for this shit anymore.
Or banished him to another dimension.
Depending on the time frame that this is taking place in, Dr. Strange might not even be in this plane of existence anymore.
Oh, if it happens at the same time as Multiverse of Madness and he's off in another world?
Yeah, I mean, he might be in the Dark Dimension.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
With Clea.
From the end of that movie.
So that might be why we don't see him attempting to help Wong. Also, he's a big name and probably won't show up in a lot of these Disney Plus shows, and they probably couldn't afford him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But aside from that, he's probably also off doing more important things.
Right. Anyway, they're still kind of keeping up with the cameo week thing. They try to introduce a new cameo every week. I do like that. I think that's one of the big opportunities of the She-Hulk series, especially when she said specifically last week that it is not what they're going to do every year.
Well, who's the new cameo? I know Wong came back. We had him before, though. Was there a new one that came up in this episode that we haven't seen?
There was no new one in this episode.
No, there was no.
So I think that's why she mentioned it last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wong was just a repeat cameo, and because the Wrecking Crew was last week as well. So Wong was a repeat cameo this week.
I had to explain to Allie who the Wrecking Crew was. She didn't recognize them.
I love that scene where she's like, "What did you like, Rob, an Asgardian construction crew?" Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, it's all Asgardian equipment.
Yeah.
That's the comic book lore of where their stuff came from.
Right? But I thought that's great. That's total Jennifer Walters there, breaking the fourth wall and saying, "Yep, that's basically the plot."
I think we covered
10 o'clock. It's 4 minutes after 10 o'clock, and we still have not touched on Stargirl. So we're just going to just do a brief overview of Stargirl and go into more detail next week.
I will then, if that's the case, I will go on ahead and let you guys go since I have not watched Stargirl.
That's fine. We're just going to just a real quick overview.
Thank you for having me on. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for showing up, Angel. Yeah. Let me go to the two-host screen real quick. There we go. Stargirl, the only thing I really want to say is they started the episode with them coming back from vacation, the first episode, and Starman is still there, and he's basically cleaned and repaired everything in the house, which makes him a good visitor. But he's also built a case for the cosmic staff, which kind of feels like he's connecting with the staff still, kind of wants to still be Starman. But then he tells her, no, she's free to be Stargirl. He doesn't want to take that back from her. Then later on, he backpedals a little bit when he's confronted about it. And the gambler comes back into town, supposedly repentant and trying to become worthy of a daughter that he found out he had, and then ends up dead.
Yeah.
And so then the main crux of the two episodes we've gotten so far is finding out who killed the gambler and determining if any of their frenemies are trustworthy.
Yeah, we got a murder mystery on our hands.
Yeah, we got the murder mystery, and the murder mystery is actually one of the bad guys who got killed. The gambler, one of the worst of the bad guys, supposedly. We've got like an enemy crew that used to work for the gambler that was taken out by Sportsmaster and what's her name's daughter, Artemis. Artemis, as her audition for the JSA, even though they didn't know they were auditioning her.
She's trying to audition for the truth.
We have Shiv being Shiv. So
it's kind of funny seeing all these like villains trying to impress the heroes to convince them to let them be a part of the team.
Right.
But also at the same time, these were a very unusual group of villains because they were, as much as they were willing to murder, they were in a way trying to make the world a better place in their own way.
Yeah, they were the Magneto class of villains, the ones that are trying to take control for the benefit of others. Very much.
Sure, 25% of the population is going to die, but the 75% that lives are going to
appreciate what people. We did. Yeah.
No more murder, no more crime, no more this and that. They're going to recycle and take care of things. It's like the brainwashing demands.
Yeah, it's totally the altruistic villain format.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen Bones yet in this season, but we know he's supposed to be a primary villain.
Who?
Mr. Bones. The villain at the very tail end of last season that's with the kind of the Red Skull kind of skull. He's got a bone.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I forgot about him.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a
had like 3 frames in the previous season.
And he's supposed to be a big villain in this season, but we haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
So,
And we didn't see Eclipso until a third of the way into the previous season, so.
Right. Well, and the murder mystery is the big focus right now.
Yeah.
And the murder mystery is going to bring us in. Now, there's also, the only other thing I want to talk about is there is a highly anticipated rumor that there is going to be a crossover between Stargirl, Titans, and Doom Patrol on an episode of Titans.
Oh, that's cool.
It is supposed to be a Titans episode, but Brett Basinger has been seen on the set, and at least Robot Man and Negative Man and Cyborg are all supposed to be part of the crossover. And one of the most, they're not sure if it's going to be the Titan version of the Doom Patrol or if it's going to be somehow explained away as the three different universes coming together or what. It's totally going to be a change of pace for Brett Basinger because Stargirl is a heck of a lot less dark than Titans or Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
They're very much darker. But one of the most anticipated parts of that is they want to see Garth and Cyborg together because those two, as actors, have wanted to work together for a long time. And the two characters are, of course, founding members of Titans.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense that we're going to want to see Beast Boy and Cyborg together because they work so much together in the comic book. And that's about all I really want to talk about because we're already 11 minutes over. We can go into more detail in the next episode next week when we don't have as much to talk about.
Yeah, this week ended up being a much bigger week than expected because of all those.
Because of the two.
There was just a ton of announcements between D23, Ubisoft Forward, PlayStation State of Play, and Nintendo Direct.
I know, and there's more stuff there's stuff I could have talked about with DC and stuff too that I'm not even touching on because I refuse to dampen it even more because we had too much to talk about already.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bid everybody farewell for Angel in absentia because he's already gone. We're gonna say goodbye to everybody. Make sure to check us out on YouTube. Most of you are going to be watching this on the YouTube repeat anyway. And remember, Extra Life is one of the causes that we really support here. And check out Eclectic Endeavors group on Facebook. Get involved with game. We've only got a month to go. And then we were going to be doing game. Contact Lurch with any questions about electronic gaming. Contact myself about panels and performances if you have anything you want to say in that regard. And just contact the whole group of us on Eclectic Endeavors if you want to participate in game this year. And we will point you in the right direction for what you want to do. Taryn is running the costume contest. We are not selling any vendors' booths. It is official. We have more than enough vendors that have been invited that we will not have extra booths for sale. So as much as people have tried to contact us to try to buy a booth, we are not going to have any booths. The booths are spoken for. That is an important update because we just had a meeting yesterday. Meetings are open to the public, so if you join Eclectic Endeavors, you will find out. We're probably going to do another meeting next Monday at the Creamery Arts Center, and then the following Monday we will not have a meeting because the co-chair is going to be out of town. And we're really going to be just right on the cusp of it by then. So we may not have another full meeting after that before the convention itself, other than, making badges and stuff. So join us there. Remember to check us out at Holdfast Brewing Company on the third Wednesday of every month with Greg Pullman. And just as an aside, anything posted in the Eclectic Endeavors group from here until game has to be about game. Anything else will be deleted. That was already posted as a notification in Eclectic Endeavors in the last couple of days. But have fun. Remember to game on. Pursue your nerdy dreams, because that's what nerdy dreams are made of.
Mm-hmm.
Excelsior. Allons-y. And good night, everybody.
Peace out. Bye.